Welcome back to Cheddar, everyone. On Tuesday night, Travis Kalanick resigned as CEO from Uber, but the turmoil continues. Wednesday night, investor Bill Gurley announced he too is leaving the board. Joining us now to discuss all of this is Phil Tracy, technology reporter at the Daily Dot. Phil, thanks so much for joining us. I want to stay with Bill Gurley for a second. It was reportedly instrumental in the resignation of Travis Kalanick. However, he did go on to tweet yesterday, there will be many pages in the history books devoted to Travis. Why the sudden departures, and could there possibly be a return to the board for Bill Gurley?
I think that's a tough question to answer. I think the sudden departures are all about changing the overall look of Uber. That's what it needs to do to become successful. Uber needs to start fresh. They have this incredible potential as being the top ride-hailing company in the world, but right now they're being held back by their board members, by their executives. The new people coming in just want to start fresh. They want to continue. They want people to focus on their business, and that's, I think that's why we're seeing so many people leave Uber. I think it's good for the company. As far as a return for Bill Gurley, I think that's hard to answer right now.
Now, there are a lot of speculations here that it was because of Travis Kalanick that Bill Gurley actually stepped down, that it was a condition of Travis Kalanick stepping down as the CEO. What do you make of these reports?
Yeah, I could see that. I know Kalanick has a lot of very close with a lot of the board members and a lot of the executives, and they really feel passionately about the work Kalanick has done. So I could see that being the case.
I would say, Phil, I mean, when we look at this in totality, is it kind of unfair that so much blame has been pointed at Travis Kalanick? I mean, obviously, we've seen 2 Uber board members leave, but not necessarily in specific relation to all of the issues that are going on at Uber. I mean, is this really just more so Silicon Valley gone awry and, using Uber as a scapegoat for all of the broader issues in Silicon Valley?
Yeah, I think that's a very acute way of looking at it. I don't know if Uber is being used as a scapegoat, because the number of controversies they have over the past couple of months is pretty resounding. As far as Travis Kalanick putting so much blame on him, it's hard to say that it's not warranted, but at the same time, a lot of people around him have not helped the cause.
Well, yeah, so I'm not saying that I don't actually think it's acute, because the issues that are happening at Uber, these are not unique to Uber. I mean, you hear about these same issues at a ton of companies within Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And it would be great if maybe the attention shifts from Uber to some other companies, and they start taking responsibility for their actions, and we start seeing more pressure put on their executives. I completely agree that this issue is not specific to Uber.
We had Sarah Lacey on, the founder and the editor-in-chief at Pando Daily yesterday. She said she wrote the last article that she would write ever on Travis Kalanick. Now, to Corey's earlier question about Bill Gurley coming back to the board, do you ever see a future where Travis Kalanick could be brought back to Uber as well?
Well, I think reports were saying that Kalanick would become a board member. As far as him becoming the CEO again, I think the odds of that are pretty non-existent. I don't think that's going to happen unless, for some reason, Uber is not able to find a replacement, or just can't seem to grow the business with a different executive. If Kalanick was the mastermind behind Uber's incredible growth, then maybe we see him return. But he's still going to be very influential at the company. He said repeatedly that it's his child, that he loves Uber more than anything, and he's going to be a part of the board and probably pretty influential in determining who is going to lead the company.
All of this is going on. I mean, obviously the media is covering this, but the average person that's using Uber, how much do they care? How much are any of these changes really going to impact Uber's bottom line?
That's a question I've been asking myself quite a lot, because if you look at Uber's finances, they're doing quite well. They're worth, what, 70 billion valued at, somewhere around there. They're still growing. despite all of the problems. I think the one direct impact we saw over the past couple of months was that Delete Uber campaign, where they had so many people deleting their app that they had to open up new servers. So that was a problem. But Uber doesn't really have big competition. I mean, Lyft is a fairly big competitor in the U.S., but worldwide, Uber they don't have, if somebody needs to go somewhere and they don't want to take a taxi and they don't like Uber, but it could be their only option. So I think it's hard for people to just take Uber out of their lives now, even though it's only been around for a couple of years. It's been so influential in the way people get around. I honestly, I don't think people care as much as the coverage would suggest they do.
Yes, and I mean, one of the biggest things that also came out this week was Uber laid out their 180 days of change, where they want to go through some of the driver concerns, address most of them, if not all of them, starting with the idea of tipping and adding tipping into the app. A lot of mixed feelings here from folks on whether or not this is actually good for Uber. Can you break down the arguments for and against this?
Yeah, this is something that drivers have been asking Uber for a long time, is for tipping. I know Lyft has been, they always talk about how much money their drivers have received from tipping. They're big proponents of it. I think the big negative, and the reason Uber didn't include tipping is that they wanted to really streamline their payment system. So people know exactly how much they're going to pay. Drivers know exactly how much they're going to get. They also argued that tipping could present some problems with
mental burdens is really what people are thinking about, is that it becomes another decision they have to make, and it makes the service less useful. So in some cases, you might not even want that. So, all right, Phil Tracy, technology reporter at the Daily Dot, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Guys, we are